Hi and welcome everyone to Season 4 of the Ruin Hammer Live Show, where we talk all things One New Zealand Warriors. Thank you all for joining us. Tonight we're going to be discussing our Round 6 loss to the Newcastle Knights in Newcastle, and we will also preview our Round 7 home game against Toddy's Cowboys at Mount Smart Stadium. Joining me tonight, as usual, is my good mate Warrior Roo. Rob, how are you tonight, mate? How was your Easter weekend?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. G'day to everyone watching as well. Easter was good, pretty quiet. Pretty much all the rest of the street went on holiday. So it was like a ghost town, the end of our cul-de-sac. But yeah, had some good quality family time. So many Easter eggs. I'm dead set finding them all over the house. It's ridiculous how many Easter eggs my kids had. I will admit I did eat about half of them. But,
I was gonna ask that. Is it, are you finding them or you're eating them?
I'm finding them and eating them. Can't you tell? I'm just. But no, it's always good for the kids. They're a good excuse to have a bit of chocolate. School holidays here, so been doing some stuff with the family. Went to Movie World yesterday for the first time in like 25 years, which is good. It's good for the kids, you know, to get on some rides and roller coasters and all that sort of thing. And yeah, went to the movies today. Watched Super Mario Brothers with my daughter. So yeah, that was good. How about you, mate? How's things with you? And how's your dad going?
Dad's good, mate. Yeah, as I said last week, he's out of hospital, staying at my sister's place. He had a liver biopsy today to determine, you know, how bad that's going. So we get the results of that back. But yeah, as I said last week, mate, he's a fighter. He's fighting through. Happy to be out of the hospital. Mate, we spent a good deal of the weekend up at their place on the Central Coast with Dad being sick, and they've decided that they're now going to sell the house and buy into a retirement village here in Sydney so that they're closer to us. So now we've got all that prep work that we've got to go and do up the house and get it all ready for sale. So Mark the tradie comes in handy to do some work around the place. And mate, Monday I took the public holiday day off and I chased some waterfalls down Fitzroy Falls in Sydney. Just needed to beautiful. Take my shoes off, reconnect to nature, do a bit of Brad Fittler grounding. So mate, it was good. It was very good. Evening, everyone that's tuned in to watch us. I see Mikey Mitchell's here, the Clough stuff. Jacko's here with us as well. Mate, before we get into tonight's show, I just want to invite everyone, if you haven't already done so, to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel to show your support of the streaming content we do create. Subscribing helps build the channel and puts you in the draw to win some exclusive Ruin Hammer merch whenever we reach a nominated subscriber. We're both rocking some stuff tonight. So make sure you click that subscribe button now. And I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our wonderful supporters and subscribers, particularly all of you whose donations and support enables us to upgrade our visual presentation via StreamYard to bring you the content and guests you all enjoy so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to give a shout out to all our Bronze Patreon supporters as well. Those wonderful people, and they are Ken Mace, Domo Mack, Richie Sterling, Dennis Danzo, Malcolm Earnshaw, Jermaine Downs, Nigel Inamete, Ken Wills, Lisa Marie Bateman, Alf Tuilave, Steve, Siala Afamasanga, Fabian Moroa, Peregrine Falconer, and Daniel Delore. We thank you guys so much and appreciate your ongoing support.
Absolutely.
And if you guys would like to support us on Patreon, as always, the link is there on the screen right now. Okay. I guess we better get on to the game review, where we'll give our thoughts and opinions on the Warriors Round 6 game against Newcastle Knights, played at McDonald Jones Stadium, and that was on Easter Sunday night.
Yeah, mate, for the second week in a row, Captain Tohu Harris, he was a late withdrawal and unable to overcome that knee injury that he's been carrying. Unsurprisingly, Jazz Tavanga was once again promoted to the starting 13. Bailey Surinam moved back to the interchange bench, which gave Josh Curran the opportunity to start as that right edge back rower. And young Tane Tuopiki promoted to the interchange bench for his second NRL game. Dimitrik Sifakula named as 18th man. Mate, it was the Knights 34. Greg Marzu, Dominic Young, Tyson Frizzell, Phoenix Crossland, Kurt Mann tries. Lockie Miller, 5 from 6 goals. Over the Warriors, 24. Adam Pompey, 2. Ed Corsi, Jackson Ford tries. Sean Johnson, 4 from 4 goals. Mate, our poor start's finally caught up with us.
Yep.
The team unable to peg back another 20-plus deficit. why don't you lead us through the game review, mate, and we'll talk about what happened.
Yeah, it's like caught up with us finally. And as you said, let's go into a bit of a game snapshot. So we did have two very good sets to start the game, yardage sets over the halfway, and then a Johnson kick deep into the corner to finish the sets. But as been the norm for the previous 5 rounds, some early poor discipline and defence gifted the Knights a penalty early in their tackle count to get out of their half and to start attacking the Warriors line. Then there was a set restart and then a knock-on from the Warriors that gave the Knights 3 consecutive sets on the Warriors line, and the Knights score in the corner with Dominic Young piggybacking Billy Vallejo across the line, just like, you're coming with me, boy. And it took him straight over. As I was saying when we did the live watch, it reminded me of a game years ago where Connie Harrell carried Anthony Milford for about 20 to 30 metres over the try line.
Yeah.
But huge, man, hard to stop, especially that close to the line. And, once again, some poor discipline from the Warriors resulted in some early points conceded. And then another penalty conceded to the Knights coming out through yardage, puts them back on the attack in the Warriors' half again. Ed Causey takes an intercept and takes off down the right edge, but he finds himself dead set on a TV 1-2-2, and he's run down by Lockie Miller, Tyson Frizzell, and Tyson Frizzell, who showed some great speed coming across in cover, and at 8 metres out from the try line. 7 Knights involved in that chase, which really said something about the attitude they had going into this game, must be said.
Yep.
And then there was an error from Adam Pompey that turns over possession 2 plays later. An extremely casual one-handed attempt to catch a regulation pass, mate. Super frustrating.
Mate, it's the problem is it's not a one-off rarity for Pompey. He just had, and we discussed this. We discussed it when we had Brad, and evening to Brad Inger, who's joined us as well. We discussed it when we had Brad doing the live watch with us. He just has this air of casualness, like a really nonchalant attitude that results in some poor errors in his game. He's almost the second coming of Christian Inu, isn't he?
Exactly. I don't think there's ever been a more casual, laid-back character than that bloke. Is responsible for one of the greatest moments in Warriors history, but just very, as you said, very nonchalant. We've discussed this so many times before about Pompey, and we can't quite figure out whether it's just him, that's just his vibe, or it's he's just running at half pace.
It's just such a relaxed attitude, isn't it?
Yeah. It'd be interesting to hear what Webby has to say about it. If he does say anything about it. But anyway, a couple of good sets coming out of yardage ends with a great kick selection from Johnson, and the first finds touch 5 metres out from the Knights line, and then a second bomb that puts Marzu close to his line, and Johnson once again showing his game management. And the Warriors once again give away a cheap penalty in defence, which enables the Knights to start their set inside the Warriors' half. And then a repeat set to the Knights put the Warriors' defence. But the Warriors' defence did hold firm with Nickel Kluxter fielding a catch in the in-goal area and getting back to the field of play. And then a penalty coming out of yardage, and the Warriors have their best attacking set of the match so far. But Johnson puts a little bit too much juice on the kick and gives away a 7-tackle set. And then Dom Young sprints to the 20-metre line for the quick tap, catching the Warriors players out, and Lockie Miller races downfield before he is reeled in by Billy Vallejo, showing some great speed, and Montoya. And then the Knights shift the ball to the right, catching the Warriors short, and Greg Marzu scores for the Knights. Nickel Kluxter unable to stop the huge man, and the Knights go 10-0 after 20 minutes. That try there was actually reminiscent of a try that the Knights scored back in round 3, I think it was, against the Dolphins, where they turned a 7-tackle set into a quick tap restart that I think it was Bradman Best on that occasion that put Lockie Miller away again. So, we sort of fell hook, line and sinker for that one.
Lockie Miller at the moment, he's leading the stats in the NRL for metres run, number of runs with the ball. He's been a great pickup for the Knights, hasn't he?
Certainly was. And it was a last minute kind of deal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To get him from the Sharks. So the Knights go up 10-0. That's after 20 minutes. And the Warriors with a good set coming out of yardage and earn a repeat set and show some great shape attacking the Knights line. And then a successful captain's challenge overturns a knock-on call. And the Warriors have a scrum 10 metres out from the Knights line. And then from the scrum, Johnson gets the ball. And then in a trademark Johnson run, he takes on the defence, skips to the outside of the edge defender, creating a gap for Pompey. And he just strolled through to score. However, even in scoring, Pompey nearly manages to stuff it up by going like so close to the dead ball line. For the life of me, I do not know why players do this. I thought it was a David Peachy thing. I think we were saying back in the day, he used to run and put it down like a couple of centimeters away from the dead ball line. I do not know why you would want to gamble with that.
Mate, it's needless. We spoke about it on the night. Unless you're trying to get closer to the post to make the conversion easier, there's no need to, once you cross the line, to keep on running. Like, once you get across the line, just put the fucking ball down. That flirting, as you said, that flirting with the dead ball line was just made famous by David Peachy, and it is ever so frustrating. And I'm sure Webby will be telling him this week, don't do that shit again. But the Johnson run was vintage Johnson, where he gets the ball, he spots his defender, he drifts across, carries that defender with him, gets on the outside of the next defender as well, and then just puts his man through space. It's vintage Johnson. He is playing so well at the moment this season, isn't he?
Oh, he sure is. It's the rebirth, the SJ rebirth. And that man himself converts for a 10-6 scoreline. And then a good set after points, and we ran 90 metres and turning over the ball on the Knights' 10-metre line. And we were making some easy metres up the middle. But then there was an error from Ed Corsi in the play of the ball and turns possession over to the Knights on the Warriors' 30-metre line. And once again, poor discipline gives away a set restart, and the Knights score from a Hastings kick. Tyson Brazil getting the spoils for the Knights to extend their lead. There's a few of these. We're starting to concede a few of these tries where the kicks are just not getting cleaned up. Very, very frustrating, obviously. The Warriors' next ball set sees Tom Ale go close to scoring and earns the Warriors a penalty. And Wade Egan then gets over the line, but unable to get the ball down. Nickel Klugster then scores from a strong run. Johnson once again skipping to the outside defenders to put Chance in. However, the dreaded yes, and the try is ultimately disallowed because Adam Pompey, again, running a lead, impedes Jack Hastings. So there you go. And then the Knights go 70 metres in their next set, and the bomb batted back by Marju, and then crossfield to Bradman Best. And the Warriors players are all up in the defensive line. Nickel Klugster out of position from the initial kick. And Phoenix Crossland with the easiest try he will ever score, running through and putting his hands on the ball for a 22-6 halftime scoreline. Those, killers.
That was a real sliding door moment. It was a 12-point shift where, the Warriors easily could have had 6 points, a further 6 points on the board. Newcastle go down the other end of the field. To make matters worse, we lost Wade Egan to a Category 1 HIA in a head clash with Tom Ale. But discipline was our biggest problem in that first half performance. We looked good in attack. Our middle forwards made good meters up the middle, and our shape and combinations looked good in what little or few good ball sets we did have. But you're talking about the Frizzell try. That ball was on the ground for several seconds. There was 3 or 4 Warriors players around there. None of us able to get hands on the ball. Frizzell picks it up and pretty much plants it over the line. The score probably not that surprising. The Warriors only had 41% possession. We were still completing high at 78%. Our run meters were still relatively high because even with all that possession, the Knights only had run for maybe 40 more meters than what we had. But we only had the one line break. We only had 8 tackle breaks compared to the Knights' 19. But we had a massive 20 missed tackles in that first half, which is just not good enough.
Yeah, absolutely not. Bailey Sirinen moved into dummy half for the injured Wade Egan. And the Warriors with another good set to start their second half. And the good sets so far outweighing the bad sets, despite the scoreline. And then another cheap penalty lets the Knights off the hook and able to start their set in the Warriors half. And then a good combination of passing on their left edge between Marzu and Best puts Jackson Hastings into space to score, but the try is denied due to obstruction. But it was definitely worrying how easily that space opened up.
Yeah.
And then another good set in attack. Temade Martin takes the line on, but loses the ball over the line in attempting to ground the ball. And then Temade is then replaced 5 minutes into that second half with a lower leg injury and unfortunately later determined to be a fracture.
Yeah, mate, it's bad enough when you lose one member of your spine like we did with Egan, but losing two members of your spine, it certainly makes it difficult because there is an obvious reshuffle in personnel. As you said, I think Sirinen moved into hooker and then we had Walker moving into 5'8". I'm sure they've trained in those positions in the past, like at training, but, game situation, when the game's on the line and you're behind on the scoreline, it kind of makes it a little bit difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah, certainly. And, we had another good set in attack. Johnson earned a forced dropout with a well-weighted kick. And then the ensuing set, the Warriors used good shape to go close to scoring again. And Johnson kick earns a scrum close to the line from a Lockie Miller error. And then from the scrum base, Johnson again with some late footwork to get on the outside of his defender and gave the ball to Pompey, who put some great footwork of his own on Bradman Best to score his second try of the night. And then Johnson's conversion gets the Warriors back to within 10 points, and also brings up Johnson's 1,000th career point at the Warriors. That is a remarkable achievement.
Absolutely, it is, yeah.
Yeah. And then a good set after points with another pinpoint kick from Johnson to pin the Knights into a corner. A forced dropout from the Warriors next set, and it's refreshing to see a Warriors side that continues to play and stick to the game plan and not lose their heads when behind on the scoreboard. The short dropout from the Knights fails to go the distance, and the Warriors with a penalty 10 metres out from the Knights line. And then a good combination of passing sees the Warriors go close to scoring a few times in the set. And then Ed Cosy with a try in the corner from a Nickel Klugster offload. Back-to-back converted tries gets the Warriors back to within 4 at 22-18. So game very much on. And you felt at this point that if the Warriors got the next try, they'd come home with a wet sail again.
Yeah, they did look the more likely at that point to score. But even as this game went on, and we referenced it, the game against the Sharks, where we fought really hard to get back in the game, I think people forget that it was played in wet weather, and the Sharks had some handling errors of their own in that game, which gifted us some pretty easy yardage to get into the Sharks' half. And I think maybe under a dry track, we don't get that comeback because Mulatalo and Katoa don't drop those type of balls in dry weather. And I think it was a similar thing this time around. When we were playing the Sharks, I was confident even that we'd get back into that game. I was really confident because the Sharks weren't playing well, but the Knights were playing a really gritty, tough type of footy. And we spoke about it last week. Jacko brought it up a couple of times in the chat last week about how important this game was and how worried we were about the Knights. And the Knights had that grittiness in their game this week. And I was never really confident that we would get them back. But Johnson, he looked amazing again. There was a passage of play there where he put a kick in. He chased his kick and pulled off a huge hit on Lockie Miller and nearly trapped him in goal. Yeah. It's those little 1% plays that he's really doing really, really well at the moment.
Yes, as we said, it's the rebirth of the man. And he couldn't be doing anything more to keep us in these games. Montoya with a drop ball trying to get a quick play of the ball. And for all his energy and enthusiasm, he does have, unfortunately, a mistake like that in him.
Yep.
And this one was crucial. It gifted the Knights another set inside their Warriors half. And then a few tackles into it, Kurt Mann runs from dummy half to score a very, very soft try, it must be said, under the posts, taking about 3 guys over the line with him. And the Knights then back out to that 10-point lead. And then back-to-back tries, a second of the night to Greg Marzu, making it 34-18, lead with 10 minutes left to play. To our credit, to Warriors' credit, though, they did hit back with a try to Jackson Ford. Some great lead-up work first from Tommy Ale and then Chance.
Yeah, mate. As I said, the Warriors just giving away too much start to be able to reel it back in. The effort was definitely there. And once again, they never dropped their heads. That's something different about the Warriors of 2023. they stuck to the game plan. You could see that they went about the process. But we said, in the lead up to this game that it was going to be that type of tough grind from Newcastle. They're a gritty team, and we just gave them way too much start. That's a serious problem that we keep talking about week in, week out, but it needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed fast, because we've got the Cowboys this week, who are struggling themselves a little bit, and we'll talk about the Cowboys a little bit later on. But after the Cowboys, we've got 3 consecutive big opponents in the Storm, the Roosters, and the Panthers.
Horror run.
And those 3 games are going to be the make or break of our season. And I know it's only early days, but if we can jag one of those wins, we're still looking good. If we lose all 3 of those, and we don't back up against the Cowboys this week, and we go on a 5-game losing streak, that's going to have some serious problems for us. Full-time stats. We evened up the possession 50% each way. We had 80% completion rate. We actually ran for more meters. We had 1,717 meters compared to Newcastle's 1,448. So it just goes to show that they used the ball better than what we did. Line breaks 4 to 5, tackle breaks our 20 to their 37. A massive 37 missed tackles, 7 penalties conceded, and 9 errors. It's just those are the stats that kind of was the nail in the coffin for us in this one. Just reading through some. There was a comment there. Where was it? In the comments section. Jacko, will the club sign SJ for next year? I would. I'd sign him on a 1-year deal, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been injury-free so far, which was often a big concern with him at this stage of his career. Mate, the way he's playing, if he keeps that up all year, absolutely. You let him go around for at least 1 more year. He's only, 30? He'll be 33 this year.
Yes.
And it's not unusual for halves to play to 34, 35 maybe. So, yeah, if this rich vein of form continues, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe just sign him on a year-to-year deal, though.
Year-to-year basis, yep.
To keep him playing good footy. We don't want to do the what we did with a couple of other guys in the past, where we've signed them on big deals. They play one good season to get the deal, and then give us 3 years of garbage. We've had that in the past, haven't we?
A number of times, yeah. Or play well in their off contract year.
Yeah, mate. Let's talk about some of the players in this game. Once again, our back 5, their involvement was pretty big. Getting our set started from our yardage set started. Montoya with 140 run meters. Pompey, he had 129 run meters, 6 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, a line break assist, 2 tries, 1 try assist. Great stats, but he's still that enigma of a player, isn't he? That there's question marks over. Valea, 115 run meters. The 2 standouts for me, Ed Causey with 192 run meters, 34 post contact, a tackle break, a line break, and a try. But Chance Nickel-Klukstra at the back, mate, 245 run meters, 71 of them post contact, 2 tackle breaks, a line break, and a try assist. Hasn't he been a sensational buy, bringing him back to the club, hasn't he?
He's been exactly what we've needed, exactly what the doctor ordered. And that, again, that's not having a dig at anyone. But he's we just seem to play better with these defensive, not defensive orientated, but like solid fullbacks. And he showed that he's got that part that everyone said that he doesn't really have much of a passing game, but he essentially set up a couple of tries as well. So he's a multifaceted player as well. Sorry, I was just laughing before Richie Sterling's comment.
I was just. So I'm going to say, Rob and I were having a chat today, as we do every day. And I said to him, because there was a couple of, when we were doing the live watch the other night, Richie was commenting a few things. And I said to him, Richie Sterling is probably one of the funniest blokes I've ever met. With some of the comments he leaves in a lot of the chat threads and stuff on the different Warriors fan pages. And that is just another one. Re-sign SJ the way he's playing. I'd leave my missus for him. Yeah, she'd probably welcome that too.
Sorry, I was just reading that before. Nice one, Rich.
The Clough stuff said, it's okay, Roo. You're thinking what I'm thinking. C&K all over Walsh any day of the week. Yeah, well, the difference is that C&K can defend. Walsh is still a bit suspect in defence, and nothing against Walshy. Walshy's having a great season at the Broncos, but I'm very happy that we've brought CNK back. He's home where he needs to be, where he should be.
It was a mutually beneficial, not really a trade, but a mutually beneficial move for both players anyway. Obviously, Walshy's thriving there at the Broncos, and as we've just touched on, CNK exactly what the doctor ordered for us. So
Brad Inger says Richie's not that funny.
Oh.
Well, you spend too much time with him, so it probably goes water off a duck's
straight
back,
over, Brad. Straight over there. Yep.
Mate, our halves. I cannot find enough superlatives to describe how Johnson is playing. He's really relishing a leadership role within this 2023 squad. He's playing with a lot of patience and maturity, and he's doing it all on his own, really, because Tamari Martin has been brought in as a bit of a foil for him, and then last week we had Volkman. But let's be honest, Johnson's been playing both sides of the ruck. Because we have seen him linking up with Martin on Martin's side of the field. The big one that he's doing is he's doing all the kick meters on his own. And his kicking game, we were very critical of his kicking game last year because he just seemed to put up these bombs that had no real purpose. Yeah, it was just like a bomb in the air. But his kicking game this year is with purpose. It's pinpoint.
Tactical.
He's kicking. Yeah, very tactical. That's a word. Kicking into corners. He had 31 run meters on the weekend, which doesn't sound like a lot when you think of guys like Cleary and the like are running for over 150 meters. But the 31 run meters that Johnson had were 31 run meters that set up 2 tries. He had 2 line break assists. He had 15 tackles, and the big stat here is 0 missed tackles for the second week in a row. I think Johnson in the past has always been a little bit suspect in defence as well. But this year, mate, he's been outstanding with his defence, particularly his goal line defence.
It's been a highlight, bringing down some big men as well and marking up on some big men. Stopping a lot of traffic down his edge as well.
Yep. But yeah, he's been doing it all, and I really hope this rich form continues for him, because we really need it to. For the Warriors to have any chance of playing finals footy, we need Shaun Johnson firing on all cylinders. And let's be honest, he's doing it behind a forward pack that is going forward. That's one of the things that's been critical of Warriors teams in the past, is that we've had halves playing behind a retreating forward pack.
There's no time. He's not afforded the luxury of the time that some of his other counterparts are, and it's been the most common sort of defence for him over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. This time our forwards, Adam Fanua-Blake, leading the way as always. 51 minutes, 151 run meters, 46 post contact, 2 tackle breaks, an offload, 24 tackles for Adam. Wade Egan, we missed him when he went off the field because we missed that creativity that he brings around the ruck that he doesn't get enough credit for. Bunty Afoa played bigger minutes this week. He played 19 last week. He played 34 this week, but he still only ran for 33 meters, which is he's not being used effectively. And we'll get to Bunty in a minute. Jackson Ford, he had another big game, 115 run meters, 2 tackle breaks, a line break, 36 tackles, 1 try. Josh Curran, I thought he was outstanding for us. 89 run meters, 25 post contact, so a quarter of his run meters were post contact, but he had 58 tackles in this game. Worked his ring off, and then Jazz as well. 119 run meters, 43 tackles, absolutely outstanding. The guy that I want to highlight though is Tom Ale. Tom Ale coming off the bench. This got very limited minutes in the first couple of games, and his minutes have been increasing bit by bit. And this week, 46 minutes. Sorry, he was our biggest meter eater. 155 run meters, 36 post contact, 2 tackle breaks, 31 tackles for 0 missed tackles. Absolutely outstanding game from Tom Ale, and it's a kind of game that you see that. And when you think about, we've got Mitch Barnett to come back into the squad, we've got Murata Niokore to come back in the squad, which means there are going to be players that drop out of this 17. For me, Arle's got to be in there, and one of the guys that would be under serious threat of going back to New South Wales Cup in the coming weeks would be Bunty Afoa. We're just not getting anything out of him. I think we spoke about it last week too. Bunty's probably very one-dimensional in his gameplay as well. What's your thoughts, mate?
Oh yeah, I mean, when you think of Bunty Afoa, you think of him charging off the back fence and making meters and busting through the line. But like to have only 33 meters in 34 minutes is just bizarre. Like it's almost like they haven't worked out what his role is, or he's playing a completely different role in the Webby system. But yeah, I can't figure it out. The two games where he got like 15, 20 minutes at the start, and that was it. And then in those stints, he had 1 or 2 runs. And yeah, having said that, we against the Sharks last week, we barely had the ball, so that can account for that. But it's happened again in the Cowboys game, the first time we played them as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't like if they're not going to use him for what we know are his strengths, then I can't understand why he's even in the 17.
You think back to the trial game where we played the Tigers in our first trial in the preseason, and Tom Arley played 60 minutes in that game, and Tom Arley showed us, like last year, he got very limited minutes at the back end of the season coming back from injury, but in what he did in those games, we all said, oh, he's a player of the future. This year he's showing what he can do. He's got an offload in him. He's got late footwork. He runs really hard. What we need from Bunty needs to channel his inner Iafeta Paliacina. That's what we need from Bunty, because he was effective. Yeah, he was kind of one-dimensional. He did have a little bit of footwork, but he was kind of one-dimensional, where he just picked a guy in the line and just ran hard and straight,
galloped at him through.
Yeah. That's what we need from Bunty. Although, as Jacko said, he's slowly but surely headed for New South Wales Cup, because there's a lot of guys in that Cup side. Zion Mayu, Dimitri Sifakula, Jacob Laban, waiting for an opportunity. And Webby will give it to him if Bunty's not going to carry the ball as expected. Dylan Walker, mate, again outstanding. Quite possibly will go close to buy of the season. When you look at what he brings to our side, 111 run meters, 31 tackles. He's just been absolutely outstanding. And young Tane Tuapiki, he didn't get much game time on the weekend. He's been named on the bench again this week in that 14 role. Now with Dylan Walker going into 5'8", so probably expect him to get a few more minutes this week. Tanya Keane, oh my God, Hammer was just about to say we need a Iafeta. We definitely need an Iafeta Paliacina.
He was such a one of a kind though, that guy. He had the gazelle, the antelope, whatever they used to call him, was that running style. He was one of
Brad Inger's favourites too. There is also old man Gavitt, who would be great off the bench in short bursts. Yeah, I must admit, mate, I haven't actually seen any of the reserve grade games except for the one game I did watch when I was at the Roosters game live. And I saw guys like...
I don't think he played in that game, did he?
No, he didn't.
Only just joined recently.
Yeah, I watched Zion Mayu in that game. I watched Isaiah Vunganar in that game. Those kind of guys were playing, had really good games in there, but I haven't really seen... Brad wants Paliacina to have a baby with Millie Boyle and produce the ultimate prop and call it Brad. He watched him at Mount Smart. He was really good. Yeah, I mean, Gavitt he was a class player when he was with us last time too.
He had a couple of really good years with us. Yeah, solid.
Yeah, mate. Just a few things on this game. The effort couldn't be questioned, I don't think. There was a bit of the combination of passing returns somewhat this week, but we found ourselves coming out of yardage and requiring a good kicking game, and Johnson delivered that. But I thought we made the most of what limited opportunities down their end to either convert into points, or we got across the line and had a couple of disallowed or near miss tries. Yeah. Every time we got in their red zone, we did look dangerous, and every time we completed our sets, we built pressure. So that's, some positives that we can take out of this game heading into the Cowboys. Defensively, again, our goal line defense was pretty good, but it's that early defense that's a worry. We saw it against the Sharks. And Webby talks about it as not missed tackles or not knowing their assignments. It's just miscommunication and getting their spacings wrong. Mate, it's 6 weeks now. Like,
it's quite hard to fathom how it's still happening. But yeah, the last 2 weeks we just leaked tries,
yep.
and yeah, we have to. It's difficult to stem the bleeding, and we've done well in the past 2 weeks to come back, but like that was against the Knights. So if that happens in that 3-week block that we've got, we'll be on the end of some 50-point hidings for sure.
Yep.
Possibly
Mate, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak had a successful return to the field in reserve grade. He scored 4 tries in the reserves grades, 54-14 victory. How long do we wait to bring Dallin into the side? Do we bring Dallin into the centres at the expense of Pompey? Do we move Montoya into the centres and bring Dallin onto the wing? Because to be brutally honest, I don't think we can take Ed Cozzi out of this side at the moment. He's earned his jersey and he's playing well enough to hold on to that jersey. And I know Dallin's a Kiwi representative, a representative player, and has a big reputation in the game. But there's other guys that I would rather see Dallin come in for, because Villy Vallejo as well. Like, he's a little bit suspect in defence. How much longer do we persevere with these guys if they're causing? Because it's Vallejo's edge that's kind of leaking those early points as well. Just not getting his spacing right or his communication right with his inside and his outside man. Everyone's saying DWZ will be in the 17 this weekend is a must. I don't know if he is. He's been named as 18th man.
I wouldn't be so sure.
And that they won't carry him as 18th man. If he's not going to play in the 17, he'll drop back to reserve grade just to get some meters in his legs, because he has been out injured for a little while, and Webby will want him playing football rather than sitting on the sideline wearing a blue bib. There's other guys that can wear that blue bib, and you're not going to carry a winger as your 18th man. I
would personally, it'd be either Pompey or Vallejo that would go. I would. This is a hard one because Pompey has been quite good defensively this year, despite all the idiosyncrasies that we've spoken about with him. I'd almost give him one more week, and then for me, I'd Vallejo to drop out of the side, Montoya to shift to centre because he can do a job at centre, and have Dallin and Ed on the wings.
Yeah, well, you just got to look at the teams that we're coming up against after the Cowboys. You got Justin Olam and Remus Smith as the 2 centres for the Storm. Then the week after that, it'll be Joey Manu and Joseph Swa'ali'i for the Roosters. And then the week after that, we've got Stephen Crichton and Isaac Tungo for the Panthers. So no easy assignments, regardless of who's defending there. But we need strong defence in our centres with those 3 games coming up. They're 3 massive games for us, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's what makes this game coming up that we're going to talk about very soon so crucial. Keep saying it every week, but this is the game that will define our season. Yeah,
Webby in his post-match presser, mate, he spoke about the frustration of our starts, and he had that wry smile on his face again when he was talking about it, because it's obviously frustrating. But he even said, they've acknowledged it and they work on scenarios at training. But they just can't seem to get it right on the game. He said it was going to get him eventually, and that was the week that it happened. Hopefully that's enough to get them get their heads into gear and kind of wipe that bullshit out of their game. He did commend the team on how ambitious they are, that they want to have a crack, that they keep to the game plan, and they don't panic under pressure. And I guess they're the positives that you take out of this thing.
Yeah, yep. We sort of were saying while we were watching it on Sunday night that this is probably the most frustrated we've seen him in the box.
Yes.
A number of times he's sort of at his doing what we were all doing like this.
Mate, he didn't sit down. He didn't sit down.
He was pacing around.
Andrew Voss even said, because Adam O'Brien was doing the same thing, and Andrew Voss even said in the commentary on Fox, obviously they don't have chairs in the coaches' boxes at McDonald Jones Stadium. Oh.
But yeah, it was not saying he wasn't composed or anything, but yeah, it was the most sort of emotion that we've seen from him so far. So
it was, mate.
Yeah.
Always tough to give man of the match points in a loss, but we did. Who did you give your 3-2-1s for in this game?
Yeah, 3 points went to Chance. Massive game. We went through his stats before. Set up a couple of tries, just all around safe as houses. 2 points to Sean Johnson again for all the reasons that we've discussed. He's just a man in a purple patch of form, leading us around the park like a good half should. And one point I gave to Jackson Ford. I think he had a great all-round game. Over 100 meters, 36 tackles, and got a try. And again, a man in form, and long may it continue.
Yeah, mate. Similar for me. I went 3 points to Sean Johnson. I just think he's just been absolutely instrumental in how the Warriors are playing, and he was the one that kept us in that game with his 2 try assists. Chance Nickel-Kluxter, I gave 2 points to. I think he's, again, for all the things that we said before, just playing brilliant footy at the back, ever reliable, bringing the ball back at pace and with intent. And 1 point I gave to Tommy Ale. I thought Tommy Ale, it was a breakout game for him. Most run meters in the game. He got some big long minutes, and I'm hoping that continues moving forward over the next couple of weeks. So that means our player of the match ratings overall for this week was 5 points each to Sean Johnson and Chance Nickel-Kluxter, and a point each to Ford and Tom Ale, which has Sean Johnson ahead on our Dean Bell medal tally on 20 points. Tohu on 12, Chance on 11, Wade Egan 7, Adden on 6, Jazz and Jackson 4 both on 5, Ed Corsi on 3, Marcelo Montoya on 2, and Tom Ale on 1. Tanya Keane saying, Webby did say that Viliami is due back about 2 to 3 weeks and Metcalf 4. Yeah, there was a thing today that said that Metcalf will be back in 4 weeks. He's just returned back from his medical trip over to America, similar to what Kalen Ponga went for. So he'll obviously come into the reckoning when he comes back into contention for being selected. Talking of selections, let's look ahead to this week's game, mate. A return home to Mount Smart Stadium to take on Toddy's Cowboys. Do you want to go through the team list for us, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So we've got Chance Nickel-Kluxter at fullback, Ed Corsi and Marcelo Montoya on the wings, Vili Valea and Adam Poppy in the centres. The halves, Dylan Walker has been named in the 6th jersey alongside Sean Johnson, Adam Fanua-Blake and Freddie Lussick returning to the side to replace Wade Egan and Bunty Arfoa named to start again. Jackson Ford and Bailey Sirinen in the second row with Tohu Harris named at lock. Again, and then on the bench, Tane Tawapiki, Josh Curran, Jazz Tavanga, and Tommy Ale, with the extended bench being Dallin, Ronnie Volkman, Sifakula,
Leatua. Yeah, Leatua or something.
Apologies. And Zion Mayu. And yeah, look, we all expected that Freddie Lussick would be the number 9 coming in. Webby has said he prefers his preference for like replacements, the next man up system that they have there at the club. So that was expected. We did kind of float around the idea of potentially playing Bailey Sirinen in the number 9 jersey, but he's named down in the second row. Otherwise, I was a little bit surprised to see Dylan Walker at 6. Not massively, because he has played there before. I thought maybe Ronnie Volkman would get another run. But Dylan Walker showing his versatility, his value in the team. What are your thoughts, mate?
Not surprised Volkman's not there in the game against
Sharks.
Sharks. In the game against the Sharks, Volkman, the big thing that Webby said about the prior to the Sharks game is Volkman comes in and he gives Sean John a point of difference to our kicking game, takes a bit of pressure off Sean, and then Sean ended up kicking for 676 metres and Volkman for 30. So the one strength that he was bringing into that game, he didn't utilise. I think he's just short of a run of first grade as well. He's still a little bit inexperienced. He might get overawed by the occasion. I'm not really sure because in that Sharks game, he did suffer a knock in the first half. In the second half, he was bought off for no apparent reason. I think in the 60th minute or something, they benched him. As Jacko says, Volkman's a specialist 7. He's not a 6. He's used to doing that. And even when they picked him last year, when he made his debut, they played him at 7, and Sean played 6 in the game that he made his debut in, which I think was the Panthers game, wasn't it, last year?
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
I'm not surprised to see Dylan Walker there. The only thing about Dylan Walker starting is you lose that impact off the bench, that energy and that intensity that he brings at the 25-minute mark. But you're going to get that from Jazz anyway, provided Tohu passes his fitness test and plays this weekend. Because he has been named the past 2 weeks and then been a late withdrawal. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bailey Sirenen drop back to the bench and Josh Curran to start again. I thought Josh Curran was outstanding starting in that role. And particularly with Bailey now being a bit of a backup hooker, Freddie Lussick's not going to get the 80 minutes.
Maybe provides more value off the bench in that sort of utility hooker, back row, lock role.
Yeah, absolutely.
Suro.
The thing, and we spoke about it when Lussick played the other week when he was in for Wade Egan a few weeks back, is he defended well, but it's not a like-for-like replacement because what we lose is that creativity around the ruck. Egan jumps out of dummy half, he engages that A defender, he brings the markers in. He's got that, a good passing game. He's got the no-look pass. Scored 4 tries in 4 games that he's played, so he knows how to find the line as well.
Yeah.
And he nearly got one on the weekend.
Yeah.
He's going to be a big out for us, Wade Egan. And then you look at the Cowboys. Scott Drinkwater at fullback, very dangerous. Their 2 centres, Valentine Holmes, Petahiku, up against our centres in Vallejo and Pompey. Our boys are really going to have to have their heads on right because Petahiku's that guy where he can bring 2 and 3 defenders in. He'll bring, Montoya off the wing or Cozzy off the wing, sorry. It'll be on that side. And then he's got that flick pass in him to
we know that all too well.
Absolutely. Yep. Murray Tuolangi's back too. Kyle Felt does know how to find the try line against the Warriors.
They all can score against us. Tuolangi has carved us up a number of times, and they're a talented side, and with all these guys back, and they just need to click, and we get another bad start, and it's curtains. Yes, we just have to shut down their danger men who are numerous.
Jacko's saying Lussick ain't that bad. He has been man of the match twice this year in reserve grade, and I get that, but the difference between reserve grade and first grade is obviously a big step. And I'm not saying that he's not a good player. I'm just saying he's not Egan-like. He doesn't have the strengths that Egan has. In the game that he played, was it against the Cowboys that he played?
He played against the Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs. That's it. At the game against the Bulldogs, he did his job in defence. He racked up 40-odd tackles in defence. He did Wade Egan's defensive work, that's for sure. But he only had 3 runs for 13 metres out of dummy half. Really didn't engage the line in that game, and that's what we kind of need him to do here. Try to engage the line, take out some of those, take on the A defender, bring the markers across, and give some good ball to his hard running forwards. Big one for the Cowboys is Jeremiah Nanai's back from suspension. That's a big in for him, for them. Mate, where do you see the Cowboys' strengths? Because they've got guys like Ruben Cotter, who knows only one way to run. They've got Reece Robson, who's great. Tom Dearden. It's almost as if we've swapped circumstances with them, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We're very similar side. Yeah, I know what you're going to say, but yeah, go on. Yeah.
No, you're copping it. You're getting it wrong, Jacko. I'm not saying if you play your best in cup, you're not up to first grade standard. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a difference. There's a difference, and that's all I'm saying. Is it's a bigger step up to first grade, and Freddie Lussick is a first grader, but he just doesn't have the arsenal that Wade Egan has. And if you disagree with me on that, well, that's your opinion. But all the stats prove that Wade Egan is a better hooker than Freddie Lussick and has more attacking arsenal than Lussick does. And if Lussick's got that in his game, well, we need to see it. If he's doing that in cup, then he needs to bring it to first grade.
No better time to show it than this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know what. So just finish what you were going to say about the two teams swapping places.
Yeah,
It's an interesting point.
It is. I was just going to say the Cowboys now are in the exact same position we were in last year, and we're kind of having the season that the Cowboys had, where we got some unlikely wins or unexpected wins at the beginning of the season and found ourselves nestled at the top of the ladder. Whereas, at the beginning of last year, we were 4-4, so we were kind of around 8th spot, but we weren't playing good footy. And that's where the Cowboys are finding themselves at the moment, don't you think?
Yes, we're very similar team, like similar kind of forward packs this year. Sort of some smaller but more mobile forwards as well. They've got like guys like Cotter in there. They do have Nane as well, making his return, of course, this week. And they got some smart halves and some big outside backs. So it's just sort of interesting how the two teams match up quite well, and it's not going to take much for them to kind of go back to their 2022 form.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a real banana skin game, this one, and with a couple of crucial outs, they're desperate to get their season back on track. We're desperate, not so much to get our season back on track, but to get back into the winners' circle with that 3-week stretch coming up. We just have to keep their danger men quiet. So they've got someone mentioned before, Scott Drinkwater, who's basically like a third half for them. He was outstanding last week, putting on a couple of tries for Kyle Felt. Kyle Felt himself has scored something like close to 20 tries against us. We just have to be on defensively, and I know we say it every week, but we bloody need a good start.
Couple of ex-Warriors in this one too, mate. Patahiku, Chad Townsend, Jermaine Tanoa-Brown coming off the bench, and we all know that ex-Warriors love playing against the Warriors. They always save a good performance coming up against the Warriors.
Always. Toddy Payten.
I agree. It is a real danger game for us. As you said, with the loss last week, we don't want to go back-to-back losses. That's for sure.
No, not with what we got coming up.
No, and that's the thing, and that's it. A loss here will be a real dent in the confidence of the players, and then you've got Melbourne after that in Anzac Day. The horror of that probably still in the memories of some boys, and then we go the Roosters again, and then Penrith at Magic Round. Yeah. So there's a bit of a discussion happening here in the chat regarding Wade Egan and Freddie Lussick. Loving that everyone's got an opinion. That's awesome. I agree with Jacko. I don't think Wade Egan's in the top 6 hookers in the comp either. But this year, like on reputation, but this year stats-wise he is. He's doing all the right things for the Warriors in fantasy points and all that kind of stuff. But, I could think of, hookers off the top of my head that I'd rate ahead of Egan. Cook, Coruscant, Harry Grant, Reid Marnie, Brandon Smith, and there's 5 just naming straight off the top of my head. I don't know. Can you think of any more, mate, just straight off the top of your head?
I'm just trying to think.
Give us a 6th one.
I'm trying to come up with one.
I'm trying to think. Jacko, give us a 6. I've come up with Cook.
I'm trying to think. Who's the Broncos
Brown,
hooker?
Smith, Billy
Coach's
Walters.
son, Billy
Nah.
Walters. No, he's not in the conversation. No.
Nah.
I was trying to think of the teams that are flying. You said Reed Marnie, didn't you?
Yeah, Reed Marnie. I
yeah.
wouldn't put the Pom for the Eels, Josh Hodgson. I don't know if he'd be in the top 6 now. He'd be borderline. I'd probably have Egan ahead of him for what they're doing for their respective teams at the moment, for sure. I'll tell you one who's top 6 this year is Jeremy Marshall-King, having a great season at the Dolphins. T-Mac's come up with that now too. Absolutely. So again, it's going to be one of those banana skin games that we talk about. Tanya Keane asked, is anyone nervous already? I'm always nervous. I'm always nervous.
Perpetually nervous. It doesn't matter if we're behind by 20 or up by 20. Even more so when we're up by 20.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that nervous energy just flows into the weekend.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah. Jeez. Pacing.
Yeah.
Should we go and look at some of the other games that are being played in round 7?
Let's do it, mate.
Okay. Thursday, 13th of April. Good game to start the round. Dolphins versus Rabbits at Suncorp Stadium. The Dolphins. Robert Jennings is named on the wing for his Dolphins debut. Jesse Bromwich returns from injury. Ray Stone named to start in the front row.
Yeah, that's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah. JJ Collins named on the bench. And for the Rabbitohs, Alex Johnson returns from his HIA forced absence. Jai Arrow returns from injury and named in the front row to replace the injured Tavita Totola. As good as the Dolphins were, and as well as they bounced back last week, I think the Rabbitohs may have a bit too much for them. I'm going to go the Rabbitohs by 14.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that big a margin. It all depends if Latrell and Cody Walker turn up for this game. That's the big one for the Rabbits, because the Dolphins are just going to keep grinding away. I was listening to the boys tonight, Brad Inger and Richie, and they were saying that if the Hammer scores in this game, he'll become the first person since some random dude back in 1916 or something to score in every game in the first 7 games of a season of a new team into the comp. So I don't know who the random dude was. Maybe Brad could put that in the but I kind of jumped all over him because I thought they were saying he'll be the first person to score in 7 consecutive games, and I threw up Gavin Cooper from 2020 when he scored 8 in a row. But they're talking about new franchises and teams. So I think the Rabbits will win this, but 1908. Sorry, there you go, 1908. What was the guy's name, Brad? I remember him well. I think I had him in a footy card.
It would be Victor someone, surely.
I've got the Rabbits in that one too. Friday night, we've got the Sharks versus the Roosters at PointsBet Stadium. What a game this will be.
Yes, a 6 o'clock game. What's going on?
Ridiculous, isn't it? What a great game. Hammer is great to watch. You're talking about me, mate? Thank you. Or you're talking about the other Hammer. Yeah. Horry Miller, that's it. Good old Horry Miller. I remember Horry Miller, yeah.
Horry Miller, yeah. Good.
Yeah, from back in the 08, yeah.
Yep.
Royce Hunt, he's named to start in the front row for the injured Toby Rudolph. Rudolph's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Cameron McInnes starts at lock for the suspended Dale Finucane. Thomas Hazelton is the new man on the bench. And for the Roosters, James Tedesco returns from his forced HIA absence. Joey Manu moves back to the centres. Matt Lodge named on the bench, returning from injury. And in other news, Angus Crichton, his name to return through New South Wales Cup this week. I'm going to pick the Roosters. I just think they've got a little. I think they've got a little bit more strike power across the park. But Nico Hines could drag this out for the Sharkies. I think it's only going to be like 2 or 4 points in it, but I'll pick the Roosters.
Oh yeah, I'm going to go the Roosters by 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
The second game, the TV game, is the Sea Eagles hosting the Storm at Four Pines Park down there in Manly. I apologise if I get this name wrong. Raymond Tuimalo Vega, his name to replace the injured Ruben Garrick on the wing. Cooper Johns has been named in the halves. Aaron Woods and Toff Sipley both named on the bench. No sign of the treadmill running Josh Schuster at this stage. I think he's on the extended bench. For the Storm, Cameron Munster, he's been named at fullback in the place of the injured Nick Meaney, with Jonah Pezzett coming in to fill that hole in the 6 jersey, partnering up with Jerome Hughes. Mate, the Storm showed me a lot last week in their comeback. As I said, coming into form just in time for the Anzac Day game against the Warriors. I think they'll be victorious here against Manly as well, but 6 to 8 points in this one.
Seabold's heavy entrenchment in the top 8 looks like it's become dislodged slightly.
Yeah,
and old Silverware Seabold dropping down a few spots. But I think, I agree. The Storm have been played back into form nicely. I think Manly will continue the favour, and they will be Storm will be too good. I'm going to go Storm by 8.
Yep.
All right, Saturday, 16th of April, the big one at 3 o'clock Australian time, 5 o'clock New Zealand time. The Warriors versus Cowboys, Mount Smart Stadium. As we said, the Warriors, Dylan Walker named to replace the injured Tomato Martin in the halves. Freddie Lussick named to replace the injured Wade Egan at hooker. Antane Taupiki named on the bench. And the Cowboys, Murray Taulagi returns from injury, named on the wing. Jeremiah Nane returns from suspension. Griffin Neem out injured with a fractured throat. And Riley Price gets to play his 3rd NRL game against the other one of his dad's teams.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with us, of course, but it's gonna be, Tanya, it's gonna be a pacing around the room, hanging on to a lead desperately for the final 5 minutes. 2-point victory to the Warriors.
I'm going to say Mount Smart Stadium comes to life. The crowd get behind the boys. They put on a big performance, and I'm going to say that they get the Cowboys by 16. I reckon the Warriors by 16. I am very confident in the boys this week. Yep.
I like it. Yeah, nice one. Okay, the Knights versus the Panthers is next up on the Super Saturday at McDonald Jones Stadium. The Knights, Tyson Gamble returns from suspension in the halves. Phoenix Crossland moves to hooker to cover the injured Jaden Brayley. And the Panthers, no changes to their side. As good as the Knights were last week, the Panthers are looking $1 million at the moment. I feel that they will be too strong for the Knights, and they'll get the job done by 12.
Yeah, I think a Panthers victory, and I think it'll be an easy Panthers victory. Jaden Brayley's a big out for them. Massive out.
Huge, yes. And a great game to finish your Super Saturday, and that is the Titans versus the Broncos at where else but Sheba Stadium. The Titans, Kieran Foran, he returns from injury in the halves, and Cruz Leeming retains his spot on the bench. No need to acclimatise. As we said last night, he's done his dash. And the Broncos, Corey Jensen named in the starting 13 for the injured Tom Flegler, and Kobe Hetherington named on the bench. This is always a really good game, the Broncos and Titans. No matter how the Titans are travelling, they always play well against the Bronx. And I am going to pick an upset. I believe that the Titans will get up by 4.
Interesting. As he said, it's interesting that Cruz Leeming, he didn't have to acclimatise like Johnny Bateman. Obviously, the Gold Coast and England are similar weather conditions at this time of year. So, yeah, he was able to slot straight in, which is great for any Englishman wanting to come over. Obviously, go to the Gold Coast where you don't have to acclimatise. I think I'm going to stick with the Broncos. I just think I'm really looking forward to the battle of Payne Haas up against Tino. Up front, I think that's going to be a massive battle. I just think Adam Reynolds will kick the Broncos to victory. His kicking game will just keep the Titans pinned in their half. I think. Injury cloud still over Kieran Foran. Who knows? I'll go Broncos in that one.
Okay.
And then Sunday, the 2 games on Sunday, we've got the first game is the Raiders versus the Dragons at GIO Stadium. For the Raiders, Nick Contrick returns from injury. He's named on the wing, replacing the injured Jordan Rapana, who has to spend 1 week out for his HIA from that massive cut he got on his head from Mr. Change his name, Marty Ta'upu. Jared Croker, yeah, he retains his spot in the centres. Good to see. That I'm hoping that Jared can stay in first grade and get to his 300 game. He really deserves it. He's been a great servant.
Jared.
Yeah.
Smile, Jared. Come on.
He's been a great servant for the Raiders. And Jack Whiten, he returns from suspension in the 6 jersey. For the Dragons, Tautai Moga named on the wing for the injured Michaeli Ravalawa. And Zane Musgrove is named in the front row for the suspended Francis Molo. Mate, I'm going to back the Raiders in this. At home, I think it'll be close, but I'll get the Raiders by 6 points.
Yeah, I think after that enormous effort last week against the Broncos, which is the upset of the season thus far, I think they'll build on that. And I expect them to get a strong win over the Dragons and put Hook back on the hook again.
Yes.
Under enormous pressure. I'm going to say the Raiders by 10.
And the final game is the Eels versus the Bulldogs at where are they at? Combank Stadium.
Combank.
The Eels, Junior Barlow. How you get Barlo out of Paulo? But Junior Barlow, he returns from suspension. He's named in the front row. Wiramu Greg, he moves back to the interchange bench. He's done a good job for him in Barlow's absence. Yeah. And Jack Murchie, the bag-selling Jack Murchie, dropping out of the off the 17. For the Bulldogs, Josh Adokar unavailable due to injury. He's scheduled to be out for up to between 6 to 12 weeks. Braden Burns is his replacement on the wing. Tavita Pangai Jr., he's named in the front row for his first game of the season. Viliami Kikau was named to return, but tore his pec at training today. He's out for 8 weeks. Raymond Faitala Mariner, he returns from a forced HIA absence. And Jaden Ockenbaugh named on the bench. He's returning from 1 week suspension, and he's been a revelation for them moving from the wing position into a middle forward role. Mate, I'm going to pick the Bulldogs in this. I've got no confidence in the Eels at the moment. They look like they're struggling. I know they've got Moses and Brown and what have you, but I just think the Bulldogs might get an upset. That's my upset for the round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The Eels were far from impressive last week against the Tigers.
Yes.
So I'm a bit like you. I can't really back them with any confidence, but I'm going to. I'll stick with them this week. I think they'll get it done by 8.
The last game of the round is the bye versus the West Tigers. Do we dare put a score on this? Has a team ever not got 2 points for the bye? Because I really don't think the Tigers deserve 2 points for the bye.
Tim Sheens has his doubts himself. So, yeah, look, 2 points in the bank, I suppose, for the Tigers.
The Kurt says 400 for the bag or nothing. Well, he's selling it for 3, so you're going to pay him an extra 100.
If anyone is interested, Jack Murchie is selling his Warriors kit bag from last year.
Warrior 244. He reached out to us on Monday and asked if we knew anyone that was looking to buy a little bit of merchandise or a unique piece.
That's right. So if any of you guys are interested, just get in contact with us. It's his full kit bag with the handle and wheels, and it's got it's the Puma branded Warrior 244 on there. So if you or anyone else interested, just let us know and we'll put you in touch.
Yeah.
Don't forget, guys, live shows coming up, and as always, we have our round review video that always drops on Monday night. So always, it was Tuesday this week due to the game on Monday, but otherwise normally on Monday night. Next Wednesday, 19th of April, we will have our live show and game review of this week's Cowboys clash, and then there'll be a preview of the following game, the traditional Anzac Day game against the Storm, which we're looking forward to. That will depend on the result of this week.
we get a long layoff too, because we play Saturday and then I think we go 12 days or something before we play the Storm, because it's Anzac Day's on the Tuesday. So I suppose the upside of that is anyone cops a HIA in this game on the weekend against the Cowboys, they'll be eligible to play against the Storm anyway. So they'll sit out the mandatory 11 days.
Yes.
which is a plus.
Yes, it will be. So, yeah, a bit of silver lining there. We will also be uploading, as we said, pre-recorded content on a regular weekly basis. That's our round review that, as we said before, drops usually on a Monday evening. We're also in discussions to bring you some more of those head-to-head chats in the coming weeks. Jazz Tavaga and Dylan Walker will be a good one. So Stay tuned. We're just going to work out with those boys when we can get them on, and work out obviously with the time difference in New Zealand. But it'd be great to have a chat with the Twins of Terror, as we've branded them.
Absolutely.
And Wade McKinnon, former fullback and fan favourite. We're in discussions with him. He's a hard man to pin down because he does work in the NZ Fire Brigade, works shifts. But when he does have some time, he'll be jumping on for a chat. So look for when we announce those.
Excited for those ones, mate. And of course, we're going to try and reach out to Webby, get Webby on for a mid-season chat when we have the bye. That's our plan at this stage. So yeah, try and get him on to have a chat about how he thinks the team's gone so far this year and what he expects for the back end of the season. So yeah. Jacko says, Anzac game in Melbourne yet again. We need to get away from this. So we had a chat with Cam George last year about this, like when are we going to get the Anzac game in New Zealand? And he was saying that every team nominates 3 games that they want to have at their home ground every year. And that is the first game. That's number 1 game that the Storm nominate every year. So I don't think that Anzac game will ever get to go to New Zealand because the Storm, that's their number 1 requested game. I couldn't tell you what ours is. He didn't even tell us, did he?
No, he didn't. I know that the Titans would definitely pick us as a team that they would definitely want to play at home.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know who we pick. Yeah.
No. But yeah, that's the Storm. That's their number 1 requested game every year, and they get it. So the only time we haven't played the Storm on Anzac Day, we played the Titans, didn't we, in an Anzac Day game?
Yeah, done. Yeah. That's right. That was when they wanted to have. That was in 2015, and they wanted to have like a continuous run of Anzac Day games. So we got a very early kickoff, and they just had games all afternoon.
I guess we could nominate our number 1 be another team here, but I reckon like the NRL won't take that off the Storm. I think it might be a bit of a cash grab for them as well. And I will say I've been to that Storm game live. I went down to Melbourne a couple of years ago when I think it was Paddy Herbert's debut game. I think Hayes Perham made his debut that game as well.
Yeah, he did. That was when we had all those injuries, and we came within a whisker of winning that.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere that the Storm put on there. It was one of the best things I've ever done. If you haven't been, you should go. Anyway, excited for those chats, mate. And if you do want to see these chats that we're trying to get on, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the only place you'll be able to see them. Before we wrap it up, I just want to acknowledge and thank our wonderful supporters, especially our Patreon supporters, for their continued support. If you want to show your appreciation and support, you can head to our Patreon page to subscribe to our bronze tier general support level, or we have 2 levels up there now, 2 more, are silver and gold tiers, which includes supporter merchandise and other benefits. And we'll be reaching out to our Patreon supporters over the next week to join us on a live watch of the Anzac Day game. So to be in with a chance to be one of 6 people invited, make sure you become a Patreon member or are a Patreon member. The link will be in the description of this video. It's actually running across the bottom of the screen now.
Yeah, shout out to Don McCarthy as well. He's been one of our recent Patreon subscribers. So,
he is.
Great to have you with us.
Yep.
Speaking of support, another great way that you can support us is to head to our Redbubble store. You pick up some sweet Ruin Hammer merchandise like we're both sporting tonight.
I got the Mannering shirt on tonight, mate. What one are you got?
Yeah, got the Campo, the Enforcer. Yeah. Great Warrior 86, great mate of the show. So we got all sorts of designs honouring past and present players, legends of the club, as well as some great novelty prints reliving some memorable moments. Yep. So head along to our Redbubble store. There's always deals on there. You buy 3 shirts, you get 15% off. Go and check it out. Get a shirt. Goes great as a gift as well. So yeah, so make sure you follow the link there and check out everything in our store.
Absolutely.
Well, mate, that's it for tonight. And thank you to all you guys who continue to support us at Ruin Hammer through watching us or through Patreon or for buying a shirt. Very much appreciated. We can't do it without you guys. So massive shout out to all of you.
Absolutely. Thanks to everyone that tuned in tonight. Really love the interaction you guys
great.
have with the
Keep
comments.
It going. Yeah, keep it coming.
Being, for us able to bring you into the discussion as well. Always good to have a different point of view as well. I welcome that. We don't all have to agree on the same thing and have the same thought processes. It's really good when we've got guys like Jacko in here that has his own thoughts that may differ from ours, and it's always a really honest and healthy conversation. There's no hate, no animosity or anything like that. We love it. So yeah, keep that coming, boys and girls. We'll be back here again next Wednesday for next week's live show. Until then, if you're heading to Mount Smart Stadium, be loud and proud. Support the boys. If you're here in Sydney, there's a bit of a meet-up at the Camellia Hotel at 3 o'clock to watch the Warriors play with Richie Morgan from Warrior Nation. I'm going to try and head over there for that. But wherever you are, everyone be safe and go the Wars.
Up the boys. Thanks, guys. Take care.